Welcome to Bloodbath TV. Today, we watched Batman and Robin, It's Unjustly Hated.
Part of our little shtick here on this channel is trying to find really bad movies and see if they're good. This time we went for probably the biggest budget movie we could that's ranked like the worst movie ever made, so we wanted to see if that was true. This is the first time I've watched it since I was a kid, but everything that I've heard since then, everyone's just like, oh, bat nipples. They just mention all these little meme parts. But I feel like, I don't know why everybody hates it so much.
I don't know how people could be so negative towards it.
When the action sequences are overstuffed, they're burdened by wall-to-wall music, the joking is all below the belt.
I'm just gonna quickly break down the story, and then we'll talk about some of our favorite moments, or just talk shit. Poison Ivy is turned into Poison Ivy after being pushed over a table. She's in the same lab that Bane is becoming a super soldier thanks to some venom serum. We've got Mr. Freeze. He is looking for diamonds to fuel up his suit.
Everything freezes.
And seeking for a cure to help his cryogenically frozen wife. And Batman and Robin are kind of, doing the thing. They need to go save Gotham City over and over and over again in various ways. Overwhelmed when the pheromones of Poison Ivy flutter into their nostrils.
I knew you'd employ your sneezing powder, so I took an anti-allergy pill.
They have some inner turmoil, and eventually, Dr. Freeze is trying to freeze the world with the help of Poison Ivy, and Batman and Robin need to thaw the world.
We have less than 11 minutes to thaw the city.
And then they get their third member in Batgirl, who in this one is actually Alfred's niece. So she joins the squad because Alfred's dying. I mean, they needed that third person because Batgirl's gotta fight Poison Ivy, Robin's gotta fight Bane, and Batman's gotta fight Freeze.
Hey, Freeze. The heat is on.
Alfred's also dying from the same disease that Freeze's wife was dying from as well. So that's why Batman has to kind of defeat Freeze to the point where he's like, okay, but can we be buds still? Because I need your help to cure my buddy. / butler /
Father figure.
Okay, so let's try and figure out where the hate comes from. I think it's probably like the whimsical nature, because this movie is over the top. It's definitely made to just sell a shit ton of toys.
Ice terror, Mr. Freeze launches an all-out chilling strike.
It captures the same kind of vibe that you would get from Batman Adventures. It is a comic book in real life, which is great. I had such a fun time because it's just all the wacky shit. Even from the big intro scene where we meet Mr. Freeze and Batman comes cruising down the frosted dinosaur tail and swinging off like he's Joe and Mac. And I loved it. And you got people skating around looking like it's Power Rangers with a bunch of putties on rollerblades. And it just jumps right into things too.
That's the thing. This film is not getting praised for its story by any means. We understand how terrible this story is. But was it fun? I was entertained. Everything was just very flashy. I was distracted. And I wasn't just distracted because we had bat butt and bat nipples all the time, but I felt as though it knew what it was. The old TV show, the Adam West one, people praise that. Why can't this get praised for all of their bat puns?
I think it's because children aren't critics. I think there's gonna be a new appreciation for Batman and Robin right now because the people who watched it back in 1997 are like us. Hell yeah, that was a blast. You see them get launched into space in the first 15 minutes and they're cruising in the sky with pieces of metal as surfboards. It's wonderful. I had such a good time with this.
Why are all the gorgeous ones homicidal maniacs? Is it me?
Who's your favorite character in the movie?
Oh, it's Mr. Freeze. Not only because it's played by Arnold, and Arnold does an amazing job. He channeled his inner acting abilities and was able to deliver a character with such emotion that as a bad guy, I felt sympathy for him. And he had a cool suit.
And his really sparkly makeup was very cool.
Arnold clearly can have fun with a character. We've seen him do it in all his other films. Even though this isn't the typical Mr. Freeze, because you want more of the doctor style, the smart Freeze. But he did very, very well. And I think people really hate the casting. You've got Clooney coming in as Batman. Okay, he's Bruce Wayne Batman.
Great square chin. You see him in a black turtleneck, you're like, that guy, he's got a Steve Jobs vibe. That guy's a billionaire.
So Clooney does a good job, so why are people hating on that? Chris O'Donnell comes back to reprise his role as Robin. Again, I thought it was a good casting choice at the time, especially because he's a big actor. Same with Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl.
Yeah.
And you are?
Batgirl.
That's not awfully PC. What about bad person or bad woman?
And she was hot off of Clueless. Like, everybody loved Clueless at the time, so why wouldn't you get her involved?
Ugh, as if. As if.
Uma Thurman, she was already well known, and she came in as this sexy Poison Ivy, probably too sexy for kids.
Endurance. Stamina. My garden needs tending.
Rewatching it and hearing some of the stuff she says, like,
I've got some wild oats to sow.
she's talking about getting fucked by everybody.
Some lucky boy's about to hit the honeypot.
Bane, played by like a wrestler, Jeep. I don't know the wrestler, but he's a beefcake. He was like probably my favorite because he just looked exactly like he did in the comics.
And I think this is probably where some of the hate comes in, because Bane is supposed to be one of the smartest villains that Batman has ever faced. And this Bane was a bumbling idiot.
But I take this over Tom Hardy's Bane. I like Tom Hardy, but listen to my voice. No, give me this fucking Bane who just sticks icicle bombs down and just says, bomb, bomb.
If you look at all the different movies, each one has their own feel. This is the feel that's supposed to be like made by Mattel. And
yeah, and this is the one that I like. I want more of this. The set design was so insanely good. You can see how they had a budget of $125 million, which is crazy. But like you look around, every single room has like thousands of different elements that just look super cool. And then you couple that with all the different miniatures running through the street when cars are exploding. And I can't imagine how much a Coolio cameo would have cost back then. Come on, that's at least a cool 50 grand.
him and Vivica A. Fox.
Misbehaving.
Talk about your cold shoulder.
And I mean, they even got mega supermodel at the time, Elle McPherson, to just be like arm candy for Bruce Wayne. They were just throwing fucking money away.
I will say the negative aspect to the casting for me is going to be Commissioner Gordon. I've followed Batman my entire life, from comics to the TV shows to the cartoon shows to all the movies. The one thing they 100% got wrong would be Commissioner Gordon. To me, it felt more like Chief O'Hara from the old TV show than a real Commissioner Gordon. I'm just kind of disappointed with that casting choice. They nail everything else, but they screw this up.
But do you think that all critics, that's what's hinging on it? Like, this is getting 1 out of 10 because, Commissioner Gordon was incorrectly cast. Sorry, Batgirl was not his daughter, but it was the niece of Alfred. Like, it's just such frivolous stuff to even nitpick because the whole movie is fast-paced despite being 2 hours. You don't get stuck in too many, like, weird lulls. The longest scene is probably just when Poison Ivy is stepping on a bunch of dudes to get to Batman. It is funny. I do like that she's, like, dressed up in this big-ass ape costume. I half expected it just to be a sexy Bane coming out.
We were hoping that we wanted Dancing Bane.
It is interesting to watch this for the first time since back in the day, since 1997. Because I loved it back then, but I haven't seen anything other than some of the images and just hearsay on the internet from people hating on it. And I had a blast.
And I don't know what people were expecting. Let's throw the Keaton ones out the window because they were a little darker. It was very Tim Burton-esque, and that's what you are expecting from that. But when you look at Batman Forever, you look at Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. You look at the villains and how they're created. You look at the world and you look at the style of this film. The next one comes in as Batman and Robin. It should be no surprise that it is one-upped itself and is way over the top.
Yeah, because you know how many toys they probably sold off that movie alone? Like, especially Jim Carrey being like super popular. They're just doubling down on success from the last one. But I don't think that it should have been disliked as much as it has been.
I think people just hate how dumb and punny it was. Like when Batman pulled out the Bat credit card.
$7 million.
That I think people really hate, and I think it's a really funny gag. That's part of Batman's charm.
I don't think he should be putting $7 million on any credit card. The interest on that's gonna be too much, Mr. Wayne. Especially just for a date with Poison Ivy. I don't think you needed to pay. I think you could have just asked her because she's trying to get to you anyway. For free. She literally stepped on every other man to get to you. You don't need to pay her $7 million also.
You get a diamond and a date. A diamond which you own already, so you're paying $7 million for your own diamond.
You got gypped. Batmobile. Do you like it?
It was okay. It wasn't featured enough for me to really appreciate it.
That's fair.
Like-
and there were a couple different weird variations. Like we had the skate one that had these two little things on the side so it didn't tip over.
Then storms into ski mode, sending Mr. Freeze to the cooler.
This is one of those things where you watch the movie and you see all the different vehicles. You got Robin, who has his like hovercraft with like the big fan. Things like that gave me hope to a potential like Killer Croc movie.
Yeah, they did set things up that would have been great for more movies. I did like Batgirl's stuff though. I thought Batgirl was awesome. Again, I had a huge crush on Alicia Silverstone back in the day. And when she was in this, it's just like, oh my God. I was Chris O'Donnell at the door.
Please be looking for me.
I was the only person opening night at Excess Baggage with my buddy Dave because I'm like, we have to see this movie because Alicia's in it. And that movie obviously bombed. But yeah, her in this is actually pretty good. If you, especially watching it now, people are all saying everything's woke. Everyone's trying to shove equality down people's throat. All of these same people just like forget that this has existed in all media forever.
Using feminine wiles to get what you want? Read a book, sister. That chicks like you give women a bad name.
Batgirl is badass.
You're about to become compost.
And they make those kind of jokes where, of course, Robin's gonna have to save her.
I got you!
But nope, she saves him.
No, I got you.
I want to go back to the Batmobile. I thought the blue lights in it, it was just too cool. Everyone loves RGBs now, but they were hating on it. Oh, this is too flashy back then. That's why I think if kids watched it now, they'd be like, oh, this is cool. Fits my aesthetic. Same with like going into Poison Ivy's rooms and stuff. They're just like Philips Hue lights all over the place. And back then it's just, oh, this is too much. Now everybody's living room looks like this.
Yeah.
Minus the plants.
Mr. Freeze's cure is just like glowing neon blue.
Those are shots of Rev from the Shooter Girl. I had a really good time. It's hard to find exactly like what I would even hate enough to say that it's the worst. I can understand nitpicking certain things and it not being completely true to the source material, but it's close enough.
People like are looking at the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson in it. Batman is a detective. Well, Clooney pulled his gumshoe sleuthin' skills by like nailing down Alicia Silverstone right away.
I'm on break from
Oxbridge Academy?
Pulling those great detective skills.
Yeah, I guess you could just read somebody's shirt. It's not a detective.
He also came up with good plans with the rubber lips.
Rubber lips are immune to your charms.
He didn't have to get the kiss. He insisted that he get the kiss.
No, would you want Uma to kiss you?
Oh yeah, of course. She was a babe. She looked like a Spice Girl in like every scene. Her hair was like all crazy and weird.
She had like a good walk to her too.
Yeah, you know, a couple missteps here and there.
Yeah, it still boggles my mind to what would be so negative that this film would get all this hate. Just because it's not as good or what you would expect from all the other Batmans,
Hey.
doesn't mean it's a bad film.
I think it is as good.
At least with this one, I know what I'm getting into, and I'm gonna have fun. I'm not expecting a dark, gritty Batman from George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell as Robin.
Although they could probably pull it off. They're great actors.
Oh yeah, Clooney could probably do it for sure.
I would do a Nightwing with Chris O'Donnell. Hell yeah. And Alicia Silverstone is back in the bit. I guess she's never left the business. We were looking into it because we're like, where is she? I'm like, I think she's in that new Shark movie. And she is. And we're like, maybe she just disappeared for a while. And we looked into it. It's like, no, she's been making movies like every single year.
Yeah.
But nobody talks about her.
So this movie really didn't hurt anyone's career.
You are not sending me to the cooler.
Even George Clooney himself, like, this is what made my career. But he hates the movie and he's been known to refund people. Like, George Clooney's just like, yeah, we know it was a bad movie.
I would like to know why it's bad. Everything we've said that I could imagine people say is bad, we think is great in this film.
Yeah, except maybe the strobing effect from Mr. Freeze's gun was a little nauseating at times.
No matter what they tell you, Mr. Bane, it is the size of your gun that counts.
When all's said and done, I thought this was a great movie, if not one of the best Batman movies of all time. So I give it this 4.5 snake plants out of 5.
I think this is just a film that people hate because they think it's cool to hate. It's really not a bad movie. It's campy, it's cheesy, you should give it another shot. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4 bat skates out of 5.
You get the ice, I'll get the ice man.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video, comment below with your thoughts on our thoughts on this movie. I wanna know if you hate this like everybody else does, or have you watched it recently and realized it's actually awesome? Because I'm certain that you'll think that if you watch it again. So let me know and validate my opinion in the comments. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath TV.
Freeze well.